Hey guys, welcome back to the Anime React tutorial. Today we're gonna jump back into this tutorial. I know it's been a really long time since I've posted a video on this. I've been working on some different side projects that I thought would be cool for more videos on the channel. So when we go through this step, we're going to focus on the anime list page today. After that, at the end, maybe I'll show you guys what I've been working on and see if that sounds or seems something that you guys would be interested in doing. I do plan on doing a video with DigitalOcean and Amcharts, which is a charting library, and kind of bundling all of that into a full stack React application. And it's looking pretty cool right now, so I'll show it to you guys after. But today what we're going to be working on is the anime list page. So I'm going to click it right here. It's going to be this little sprite list container that we have. So as you can see, it's really simple. We just have a bunch of GIFs on the screen, and you can scroll over them. We have a little bit of animation in there, and it shows, these little picture cards, and it's got some information. It tells you the title of the anime. It tells you the category of the anime, and when you click on it, it should take you to the page to display some of that information for the anime. So, this is going to be another React route that we have for our application, another page you can go to check all of that out. We're not going to do that in this video, but we are going to get the list up and going so you can kind of see how we can create this. And it's really easy. We already have all of the pieces in place that we need to, so that's great. It's going to be a fast, shorter video. And then we have this load more button at the bottom that's going to just add more anime to the page. So right here we can see we have Death Parade. We'll click load more, and you can see that there is a lot more now. You can kind of just scroll through and just keep going through everything. And it's just going to add to this page, so you can kind of go through all the 2,000 items that we have. Obviously not the best design. This isn't something that is perfect, but it's kind of just to introduce the concepts that we're going to be going over. Okay, so perfect. Now that we have a little bit of introduction on what we're going to do, why don't we get started? Okay guys, so we're ready to go. First thing what we're going to do is why don't you open up Visual Studio Code where we left off. I'm going to open up the terminal and we're going to get our app running. So I'm just going to run node API to get the backend server running. Pull that up a little bit. And then I'm going to go into the my app directory, and then we're just going to run our React app from there with npm run start. So there is actually a way easier way for us to, instead of opening two terminals, we can actually do this with one command if we just set up our package.json a little simpler. Now, I'm not going to show you guys how to do that in this video, but we will do it in a future video. So kind of just bear with me doing this stupid setup that we have right now where we have two terminals, but I didn't know how to do it before I started this series and kind of getting familiar with npm. So we'll do that next time, I promise. Okay, so now that we have that running, let's look. It looks like we got everything the way it's supposed to. We have the form, the user page, and the list page as well. So this list page is what we're going to focus on today. I know there's nothing really exciting going on right now, but why don't we go over and change that? Okay, so let's go to our terminal, or to our code editor. I have anime list container up and also the anime store. So just to kind of give you guys a quick rundown of what we're going to do, we're basically going to take the data that is in our anime store class, and we're just going to display it in a kind of visually appealing way on this page. We already have all of the data in the store. We've already set up all of that in previous videos. So if you're just now jumping in or you don't know, I would recommend going through the older videos and kind of seeing how we set everything up. But basically, we're just going to call this handle get animes class function here, and that's going to get us all the animes we need and all the different information associated with them. And then we're just going to render it into a list with some JSX in our React components. So first thing we're going to do, why don't we create a new file? It's going to be called gifs.js, and this is going to be just a data file basically for us. Like, it's just going to allow us to create an array of all the GIF images that we have under this resource folder right here. And then you can see that there's a nested GIFs folder as well. Now this code I'm actually going to just put on GitHub. I did it before this video because if we sat here and typed it together, you guys would just want to kill yourself. It's a lot of really boring code and import statements. And even when I was doing it from scratch, I was like, there has to be an easier way to do this. But anyway, I'm just going to copy and paste it in right now. So as you can see, we do a bunch of imports at the top from our resource file. This is just getting the images that are right here. So we have like, this anime emo boy, this anime running girl, this anime snatch. We have one for Digimon, Dragon Ball Z, all that stuff. So these are just, GIFs, right? And all we're going to do is just import them as resources into our gifs.js file. So scroll down. And then we're going to declare a variable called gifs, and you can see that it's an array. We use that syntax, and we're just going to put them all in there. We're just going to insert them all in there. And then we'll do export default at the end so that this particular variable or data structure can be used in the other files that we have. And let's move on to our anime list container. And let's import all of the things that we need. So first thing we're going to import is our anime store. We're going to import our actions so that we can dispatch actions. We're going to import a class that we create together called sprite list. We haven't done it yet, but let's just do it right now. And then we're going to import the loading bar so that we can have that loading bar animation. Okay, and since we haven't created this sprite list file that is basically going to be rendered here in our container, why don't we go ahead and create that file right now. So I'm going to do new file, spritelist.jsx, and then we're just going to create a little dummy component right now. And then I'm going to add class right here, and then we'll just initialize our state as well. Alright, perfect. So now we have our dummy component. Let's go back over and let's start writing some code here. So the first thing that we want to do is get the data from our anime store into this class. So let's go ahead and write some component did mount and state logic here. So we're going to do state equals, this is going to get all of the animes from our store. So animes is going to be an empty array before we dispatch our actions. And then we're going to say loading is true because when we get to this page, we want the user to see that loading animation when they first get there to kind of give them an idea that something is happening in the background. Now let's do component did mount. So now let's do anime store dot listen, and it's going to listen with an on change method that we create. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's do on change equals. It's going to take in the store, because it's going to listen to any store updates. And that's all we need to define right now. Let's finish our component did mount first. So we're going to use set timeout. And what this is going to do is it's going to let us change the loading state variable. So we're just going to do set loading to true when the component mounts after, let's say, like 1500 seconds passes. So that's all we're going to do right there. And then after that, we're going to do actions.getAnimes. And we're going to just pass in that empty string because that's how we set it up. And this is going to get us all of the animes. It's going to send that action to the store. And then when it sends the action to the store, our anime store is set up to listen with this onChange handler. Or this class is set up with this onChange handler. So it's going to get that store update after the action is dispatched. And then we're just going to take the animes from that store. And then we're going to set our state to the animes. And then the last thing we're going to do is define our component will unmount method because we don't want anything left over. We don't want any memory leaks. So we're going to do anime store.unlisten this.onChange. So this will no longer listen to those changes in the store or the actions after this component is unmounted. So this right here in component did mount is maybe a little confusing because you might infer that this happens first before the get animes action is called. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut that and paste it right here so you know that this gets called first. This is set timeout, so it's asynchronous. This is going to happen after 1500 seconds has passed. So the other synchronous code would get executed before this. All right, and then in our render method, what we're going to do is we're going to say if our state is loading, then we're going to return that loading bar. And then if not, we're going to return the sprite list. So let's go ahead and instead of doing the anime list page, let's do sprite list data. And then we're going to pass in the animes. And right here in set timeout, instead of setting it to true, we want to set it to false, obviously, because after 1500 seconds, it's done loading. Okay, so now with that, let's go on over to our window. Let's click this page and we'll navigate to our list page. We see that it's loading for a little bit, and then it renders the sprite list after it's done loading. Perfect, that's exactly what we wanted. Back in Visual Studio Code, we're going to switch over to our sprite list, and we're going to check out and finish the rest of the logic there. So this is all of the fun stuff, right? Like this is what is going to render all of our nice style and create those cards for us. So first thing we're going to do, let's get our imports down. We're going to import link because all of these different boxes are actually going to be clickable and route us to a different page specifically for that anime to show some more in-depth information about them. So that's why we're going to take link. And then we're also going to import our GIFs data structure so we know so we can render some fancy, little animated pictures there for each different anime. Now for state, what we're going to do is we're going to define something called the upper bound. And what this is going to do is, the way that this is going to work is we're going to slice our animes data structure that is sent to us by the anime list container, and we're basically going to expand the range of it. So when this first mounts, it'll take the first 1,000 items. And then when that user clicks load more, it'll probably add like 1,000 more to this upper bound variable, and then it will expand how many animes are shown on this sprite page. So it'll first be the first 1,000. When you scroll all the way down, you want to see more. It'll click load more, and then we'll expand the range to show 2,000 animes. And then when you click more again, it'll show and expand to 3,000 animes, and so on. So that's what this upper bound variable is referring to. We're also going to have a function to increase the range. So exactly what I said, when you click load more, all of this is going to do is increment that upper bound by 1,000. So really easy. So what we're going to do is we're just going to take upper bound from state, and then we're going to do this.setState upper bound is upper bound plus 1,000. So really easy. That's all we had to do. Okay, so now the fun part. How are we going to visualize all of these different cards, and what's going to be the logic for that? Okay, so first thing we're going to do is we're just going to take upper bound from our state. We're just going to destructure that out. And then we're going to create something, we're going to create a variable called sprite JSX. And this is going to have all of the JSX for our anime list. And so what it's going to do is it's just going to slice. So it'll take a copy of the range that we specify. So the data that comes to us is all of the anime list data, right? It's like, I don't even know, like 20,000 rows of anime data or something like that. And what the slice method is going to do, it's going to take that array, and instead of showing all of the 20,000 animes right off the bat, it's just going to show a range. So we're going to start at element 0, and our upper bound is 1,000. So it's just going to show the first 1,000 elements of that array. So that's all we're doing right here. And then we're going to do map. We're going to take in the anime, and we're going to display something. So I'm going to delete this first and just do return sprite JSX, because that's what is going to happen at the end. And then we're just going to do const GIF. Now, what I did was I just assigned a random GIF, so that's going to be all the math you see right here. This just says to take all of the GIFs and then just, based on what the length of the GIF is, just pick a random GIF from this array. That's all this is saying. Like, just take the GIFs and then at a certain position, which is this right here, this just calculates a random position in the array, assign it to this variable so we can turn it into a card and display that. Now what we're going to do is we're going to return, and we're going to make this, this whole card that we're going to create is just going to be wrapped in a link. So whenever you click anywhere on this card, it'll route you to that specific anime page for it. Now what it's going to do is it's going to do anime.animeID, and that will help us define the information that we need to pull for that specific page. And we'll do this. We'll close that. And we'll do div class name, sprite container. We haven't defined any of these class names, so don't worry, we're going to do that at the end. Class name is going to be left aligned. Perfect. And then we're going to do div. And then our class name is going to be centered row inline block. And then we're going to have some inline style here. This is actually, not as performant as defining a class name, but I was a little too lazy to create a class name specifically for this card portion. Or this is going to be where the text is shown, actually, but I was a little too lazy to create a class name for this. You're more than welcome to if you want. This whole entire application is not very performant optimized. But anyway, inline style, it's usually better to create a class name than have inline style. And we're going to do our background color. And do margin bottom of 20. And then border radius of 3. I'll close that. Okay. And then inside of this is going to be the anime.type. Okay, so this actually isn't for the text. This is for the little badge icon, right, that you have in the corner. That's highlighted pink, I believe. So that's going to just show the type, whether it's a movie or a special or whatever. That's what we're taking right there. And then below this, we're going to create an image. And then that's just going to be set to whatever that random GIF was that we set up there. And then the alternative tag for that, because you always want to make it friendly for anyone with a disability or a text reader, things like that. You know what I mean? And so we're just going to specify the alt tag, and then right here we're going to have the actual anime name. So this is going to be class name sprite title, and then this is going to be anime.name. Okay, so that looks pretty good to me. Just so you know, I want to point one other thing out. This literally is probably not the best way to do it either. You should not be slicing the array over and over again in the render method, because whenever we update this upper bound variable, basically it's redoing the entire slice of the array. So first we have like a copy of 0 to 1,000, and then instead of using that previous 0 to 1,000 when we load more, it just starts from scratch. It throws the entire array away, and then it starts from 0 again and then goes to 2,000. And then when you click that load more button again, instead of taking the 2,000 sprites that we've already rendered to the screen and painted there onto the canvas, it just throws that entire array away, and then starts from scratch, starts at 0 and gets the 3,000. So it's these like redundant renders that we don't really need there. What we should be doing is concatenating our previous array with the additional 1,000 instead of starting from scratch every time. But I'm a little lazy and I just don't want to do it to go back and change the code. But just so you know that's what's happening. Okay, and then with that, what we're going to do, instead of just returning this sprite JSX, we're actually going to wrap it in some container classes. So I'm going to do return Get rid of that. We'll scroll down. And then we'll do div class name centered row. And then we'll do some more inline style that is not very performant, but I mean, what can I say? I'm really lazy. But just so you know that when you go to build your own applications, that it's always better to define class names. Okay, so we're going to put our sprite JSX within this container. And then within this bottom level or bottom layer div, what we're going to do is we're going to have our loading button. So we're just going to do class name loading button. And then within it, we're going to have a button. And when you click it, all it's going to do is execute the increase range function. And that, I mean, that's literally it. That's all it's going to do. And then load more is going to be the text for the button. Okay, perfect. So that's looking really good. Why don't we go back over and let us refresh and go to our list page again. And as you can see, oh, I keep clicking on stuff. We have these sprites, right? But one, this is all the same sprites, so that's bad. And two, our style looks like garbage. Like this is literally just text and it's all malformatted all over the place. So why don't we go back to our editor and we can see where I messed up. Okay, and the place that I messed up was I had an extra parentheses right after the random function. So instead of putting the parentheses there, let's do it after gifs.length. Let's save. And now we can see that they're different. Perfect. So we got some random sprites. And then when we scroll all the way down, if we click load more, then it gives us more sprites. That is amazing. Perfect. Okay, so why don't we finish this off and we can add our class names now. So let's go under our public directory, under the style folder, and do stylesheet.css. Let's scroll all the way down. And then let's define the classes that we are using. So let's do sprite container. We're going to do padding 5px and then these 20px. So this is just going to add some space for the inner content. That's going to be really good. Let's do background color 1D, 1D, 2B. I think this is black. Okay, yeah, so it's that blackish color. Perfect. 1D1 PX solid white. That's going to be the border. So this is literally like the wrapping card around each of the anime items, right? So that's what we're defining here together. And then we'll do height 310. We'll do margin. So space them out so they're not clumped, right next to each other. That'll be really good. Margin bottom 20px. And then we're going to do our transition. So this is going to be that animation effect that you see when you hover over it. And, in like 0.3 seconds, it eases in and out to do that animation. Where it dilates the image up or down, where it scales it up or down, that's what we're doing right here. And then we'll do sprite container hover. And we'll do transform scale 1.04. And then we'll do our sprite title. We'll do background color, same color, 1D, 1D, 2B. And I'll scroll down a little bit right here. And do border radius 1px, padding top 5px, and then our color is going to be white. So if we head back over to our page, and we refresh, then we can see that we have, most of it laid out pretty nicely. It doesn't look like we have our badge right there, so why don't we go ahead and go back over to our editor and see what's wrong with that badge. And if we go to sprite list, you can see that I forgot in background color the third character right there for that color. If you have two characters, it's not going to know what the hell that color is. So let's add that 5, F58, and then go back over. And now you can see we have our badge. Perfect. If we scroll all the way down, we have our load more. We click that, and you can see that the page expands, and we have more animes to show. It's awesome. And if we click, we hover over, we have our animations. And if we click, it takes us to a new page with the anime ID. And that's what we're going to use next time to create our our nice little individual card page for each of the animes that shows more information, and you can do your comments and things like that. So that's where we're going to wrap everything up for today. Thanks a lot, you guys, for watching the video. I really appreciate it. I did want to also say sorry to Sophia. I know I told you, I think, maybe a month ago or so that I would have this next video out for you in a week or anything or something along those lines. And I know it's been a really long time, so I hope you haven't been dying for this too badly or anything like that. But anyway, so that was going to be the end for this video. And then to finish things off, why don't we just look at what I have prepared in the future? And if that seems like something you guys are interested, then great. If not, then, well, that sucks. So the application that I've been working on right now is this little graphing application right here that shows some data visualization. Basically, what this is about is some anime sales data in Japan that I was able to get from this some anything website. Basically, this guy has a website of a bunch of sales data that he's found from miscellaneous sources that shows what kind of revenue that each anime is made based on their DVD and Blu-ray sales. So I thought that it would be pretty cool to kind of visualize that in a way that was easy for people to look at and understand. Because right now he kind of just has it in this table format, and it's not the prettiest thing to look at. But I thought that if we had some data visualization in front of it, that it might look pretty good. So right here you can see that you can like filter through tables, look through a specific anime that you want to, and just kind of see how it's done over time in DVD and Blu-ray sales, who it's by, what it was adapted from, things like that. We also have some filters on rendering what data is shown to the screen based on different types of variables. So if you want to see data from only 2000, you can look at all the sales from that. Yeah, so this is kind of a work in progress. It's not exactly done yet or anything close to it, but I do think it will be really cool to show you guys how to use AM charts and how to create these custom filters and combination filters, and package it all up into a project that you can then deploy onto DigitalOcean, because DigitalOcean is a great hosting provider. I've really enjoyed using them. They made it really easy to host this there. And as you can see right here, at the bottom, I also have a little bit of credentials so that you can link to my YouTube and GitHub with the cute little cards that you see quite a bit. So I'll show you guys how to do that as well. You can also sort, with this radio button sort. That's cool, and things like that. But anyway, that's what's coming out, if you guys care about it. So stay tuned for that. I think it'll be a cool video. Teach you how to use DigitalOcean, AM charts, and a bunch of other cool things. Okay, so anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.